Hi, and welcome to another series in the Supercharged 365. So, we are embarking upon a series called the Author's ATM. And inside this video training series, we're going to be talking about 20 plus income streams for non-fictional authors. And so our first video is going to focus on what I refer to as pre-publishing income. These are various different activities or strategies or streams that you can use to generate income before you actually publish your book. Okay, so what are some of those pre-publishing income? One is to create a resource page or listing to the back of your book. The other is to put together an anthology. An anthology is a group of stories or non-fictional content from various different authors, which would of course include yourself, and also pre-orders. And this is where an author is able to sell their books prior to the publication date. So let's talk a little bit first about a resource page or listing. So if you've ever seen certain books and you go to the back of the book, you will see a listing of resources or recommendations of places that the reader can go to. This is a great strategy that you can use in order to give that added information to your reader, but it can also be a stream of income as well. It will help your readers with your next steps. So if you're talking about a specific topic, which you know that individuals have to take the next step, whether it's coaching, something related to their business. I write on parenting with autism. So there are various different organizations that can help parents. I can share with them the list of those places and the various different resources that are available to them. So this is actually something that is a very helpful addition to your book. Even if you don't turn it into an income stream, it's something that you should definitely consider as an option. It has the ability as well. You want to make sure you're targeting third parties with a shared audience. So if you're turning this into an income stream, you're only going to be targeting individuals who have your shared audience. So of course, you're not necessarily competing with those individuals. So say, for example, once again, a book on autism, I could target speech therapists, occupational therapists, various different organizations that offer services to parents of autistic kids. The focus is that you want to make sure this person or organization does share the same audience that you do, but not one that necessarily competes with your audience. You want to structure the deal as a pre-order of books. So if whatever amount that they're paying for this listing, you're structuring it as they are actually purchasing X amount of books. So let us say you decide to charge $200 for a listing. What they get in return when they pay that $200 is 10 of your books. If your book is priced at $20, then they're going to get 10 books. This will allow for a win-win situation. So when they purchase your book at $20, you are already making a profit on that book. But when it is that they actually get those books in hand, right? So they're not just paying for a listing per se, they're literally actually paying for a pre-order of your books. They can then turn around and give away those books to their own audience, their own clientele, or they can sell the books and recoup the money that they have paid for that listing. So it makes it into a win-win situation, and it will allow you to be in a better position to actually promote this to individuals as an option for them. Now, for you, in terms of what you can earn, you can start as low as $50 per listing to as high as $500 per listing. Individuals have even gone higher than that, and that will depend on the reach of your audience. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, and just how you're able to market and get that book in front of as much people as possible is going to determine the value of that listing inside your book. The second income stream that you can use as a at the pre-publishing state is an anthology. An anthology is where a group of authors come together and provide content for one book. It allows readers to get different perspectives, so it's a really great read for individuals, whether fictional or non-fictional. But it's also very popular with non-fictional books because readers get an opportunity to hear the stories of different individuals and hear the perspective of different individuals as well. You want to target co-authors, just like with the resource listing. You target co-authors that have a shared audience, but not necessarily a competing audience. That's really important. So if it is you're in business and you're writing something connected to your coaching brand, and let's say, for example, I'm writing a book on being a ghostwriter, or I'm writing a book about publishing a book or being the best author that you can be, I could write one chapter about ghostwriting. I could go and get a co-author that does editing. I could go and get a co-author that does publishing, and so forth, right? So we all have a shared audience, right? But we're not necessarily competing with each other. And so you want to target those co-authors, okay? Then you might say, well, how is this an income stream, Grace? Well, you have the possibility of sharing in writing and publishing costs, which can be very expensive if you're hiring professionals. And so these authors can share in that with you because they're going to be inside the book. They're going to get the same exposure that you are getting, and they get to be co-authors with you. Or, as many individuals do, and what a lot of authors are starting to do in the non-fictional genre, is to structure it as a profit stream. So when you share in writing and publishing costs, you simply add up what all those costs are going to be, divided by the number of co-authors, and that's what each person will pay. But when you structure Anthology as a profit stream for you as an author, you can create a book that essentially is going to have different co-authors, but they're going to be paying a sum that's not necessarily a share in the writing and publishing costs, but just what you are actually charging them to be a part of that project, and that can turn it into a profit stream. So if it costs you $2,000 to write and publish the book itself, but you charge individuals $500 each, and you have 10 individuals that are a part of the anthology, that's $5,000 in income and what, $3,000 in profit. So you can structure it as a profit stream, and you're able to generate an income as a stream, right? So I have seen as low as $100 per author to upwards of $2,000 per author. And this also is going to be dependent on your overall marketing plan, and as well as how you're going about distributing your book and sales. The other income strategy, the other income stream for pre-publishing is pre-orders. This is going to be one of the most popular stream, of course, for authors, okay? And why is it even relevant? Well, readers like to be the first to get a new book, right? There's something about being the first in getting an iPhone, or being the first in getting the latest in technology, right? It's always gonna be there tomorrow and a couple months from now, but people still want to say, I was the first. And so pre-orders tend to be something that readers who like that concept will gravitate towards it. I recommend to authors, in order for this to make sense for you and your general audience, is to include a special offer or offers for the pre-order. So for example, I will autograph the book for you, or I will send you something special in the mail, whatever it is, maybe a thank you card, it might be a pen, it might be a gift box, whatever it is. The point is, you want to include some type of special offer that makes it worthwhile for somebody to want to pre-order, especially if you're doing pre-orders months in advance of your actual publication date, because that means that an individual is waiting for months to get your book. So you want to make sure that it is something that is valuable to them, for them to wait that long for the book itself. So you can even offer, access to some of your digital products if you're an online entrepreneur, access to a coaching session or something like that. What I don't recommend is for you to offer anything that utilizes a significant amount of your time. You do not want to be trading time for pre-orders because it's not going to be worth it in the end. Okay, so include special offers for your pre-order. It is a great way to finance your book projects, and you want to make sure that you have a plan in place, a specific timeline in place, because you don't want to be shifting that launch date when people are actually paying for pre-orders, okay? Because then you're going to aggravate your audience and they might very well leave a bad review about it, right? You can host it on the publishing platform. So platforms such as KDP and Ingram Sparks will facilitate pre-orders, or you can actually put it on your website. Now, if you host it on a publishing platform, you're not going to be in a position to get that money at the same time. So if you're doing pre-orders for the purposes of financing your book project, it's not going to work out for you. Instead, if you do the pre-orders on your website, you are processing those transactions. So quite naturally, you're going to get that money up front, okay? Make as much as you market. So the income stream for pre-orders is as much as you decide to market it, right? So that will vary from 0 to whatever you want it to be, right? So just become very creative with it, especially when you're including those special offers. It's going to really make a difference with the amount of money you're able to make. Here are some things that you need to consider as you're looking at these different pre-publishing income streams. 1, your target audience. This is going to be really, really important. You have to understand your target audience because it's going to determine whether or not you put a list at the back of your book, what type of list you're going to put to the back of the book, whether your target audience is interested in hearing the perspective of other people in an anthology, whether or not your target audience will actually take a pre-order, or what are the things that are going to incentivize them to actually go ahead and purchase a pre-order. You have to understand your target audience, and you have to understand your third-party target audience as well. You do not want to be collaborating with individuals for which their target audience clashes or conflict with your target audience, as well as you don't want to be in a position where you have competing interests. So you and the third party are competing for the same type of service or response from that specific target audience. So while you want the target audience to be similar, you don't want there to be a conflict or a competition. And so say, for example, a ghostwriter is not necessarily a publisher. So there's no conflict in collaborating with a publisher, because while the target audience is the same, they do not offer the same service. Okay. You also want to consider your marketing objectives. How do these various different income streams tie into your marketing objectives? One of the things I want you to remember as we go through this video series is that you're not going to tap into every single income stream, right? You're going to choose something that works for you, and your target audience is going to be key in that decision making process. And also, what are your marketing objectives? What do you want to achieve at the end of the day is going to be really important. So say, for example, you choose to do pre-orders on a publishing platform, then part of your marketing objective might very well be to become a bestseller before you even actually publish the book. So that might be your marketing objective. But if your marketing objective is for you to earn a significant amount of income prior to you actually publishing the book, then doing pre-orders on a publishing platform might not be the best thing, because those funds are not going to be released until the book is actually published and individuals have the books in hand. So that's something for you guys to consider in terms of your marketing objectives and how you're going to tie that in with the income stream that you decide if you do go with a pre-publishing income stream. The other thing that you're going to have to consider is your sales projection. This is going to tie in significantly, especially when you're dealing with a resource listing, as well as when you're incorporating co-authors into your project, because one of the things that they want to know is the extent of your audience and how there's going to be the projections of sales, because I'm not going to pay any money to be inside a book if I don't believe that there is going to be some amount of distribution that is going to make sense for me in terms of my brand being exposed. So that's something that you have to consider, because individuals are going to ask you about what are your sales projections. The other thing you need to consider is whether you need professional help, okay? So a resource listing is pretty easy to do. You add it to the back of your book. But if you're doing an anthology, for example, and you now have to organize content between various different authors, you might probably need some virtual assistants. You may also need some professional help in the form of a ghostwriter, editor, formatter, and so forth, right? So you have to consider, as much as these are income streams, whether or not you actually need some professional help to set up these various different income streams for you. So that is it for this particular video on the author's ATM, right? So join me again for the next video as we go through 20+ income streams for non-fictional authors.